Hi guys, welcome back to the Leena Guiger show today, hosted at The Milk Cake Man. And today we have Farah Chaudry, who is the co-owner and co-founder of Paws Bakery and Coffee Shop. Hi Farah, welcome to the cafe.
Thank you for having me.
It's okay, thank you for being here. And it's also nice to have a fellow cafe owner with us too. Here's the menu. What would you like off the menu?
I think it's got to be my favourite Biscoff milk cake, please.
And I'm going to have, you know what, I've really been loving the Spanish latte recently. Like I really love this one. Let's go. Normally people start pouring on top of it and it just frustrates me because I'm always like, no.
Does that annoy you?
Because I always
really
think
happy that I've done it right.
Oh, I think I'm going to spill it on top. This one, it has to be my new flavour. It was Biscoff. Well, it was saffron, then Biscoff, and then it was just Spanish latte.
It's hard to choose, actually. They are all excellent. You've got a really good menu.
Thank you. Very precise menu. But talking about menus, so you run a business, Paws Coffee Shop, right? And it's a bakery. Can you tell me how you started? Because you do all the baking, right?
I do.
And I know that because I eat those blondies and they're the best. The best blondies I've had in my life.
We actually started in lockdown. So I had a career change during COVID. And in January 2021, we opened as a pop-up, not knowing.
So wait, before this pop-up even began,
yeah,
where were you baking from?
So I used to bake at home. I've always been a keen baker since I was a child, and it's always been like my creative outlet, and it's just something I've always had a passion for. But
remember the first thing you baked?
Yeah, a Victoria sponge.
No way.
Yeah, I think I was like 6 or 7, and it came out like a pie crust. It was awful.
Gotta start from somewhere.
Yeah, but my excuse my cough. My auntie and granddad were like, "It's the best cake I've ever had." So I had encouragement.
Since 6?
Yeah, I think I was just really enthusiastic about
good.
being in the kitchen, and probably the positive feedback I got just encouraged me even more. And it's something that I've always found really calming.
Would you say that was from your family, like the positive feedback? If you're looking back now.
Yeah, I've come from a family of people with a sweet tooth.
Oh,
yeah.
And I think with Asian households as well, they do push you. No matter what avenue it is, they do push you. And I think that's one thing we love about our families. They always like, you can do it, it's
Definitely.
great.
There's a lot of support and encouragement for passions and interests, and to sort of be the best version of yourself.
But you weren't baking like during the past 10 years as a full-time career, right?
No. So it began full-time January 2021. Yeah, 2 years ago.
Okay, so tell me a bit more about why during COVID, like how did it even escalate to becoming a business?
It sort of came out of nowhere. We went from a concept to being open, I think, within about 3 or 4 days. Yeah, so there was an art space that was closed due to the lockdown, and I'd left my previous job, and they basically said, if you wanted to do something, if you want to do something, you're welcome to use our space, because due to lockdown, we're not able to use it, so it's sitting vacant.
Did you have to pay rent on it and stuff?
No, they actually gave it to us for free.
That's so nice.
Yeah, they were so kind, because they had some arts funding to sort of sustain them during the lockdown.
Okay.
They were like, we actually don't need the money, so we're very happy for you to make use of the space. So it was like a real like community focus.
And during COVID as well, such a hard, tense time to know that, you know what, there's an opportunity out there and, you know, someone's actually pushing you. Yeah. Because you don't get that all the time.
No, and they had a coffee machine there already.
Perfect.
And
Ticks one box.
Yeah, exactly. And that's such a huge investment when you're opening.
Yeah.
It's such an expensive piece of kit. So with that investment from them, it's like social investment really, we were in a really lucky position that there wasn't a great deal of risk.
Okay.
So we were like, let's give it a go.
Because there's nothing tied down. It was just, how long did you have that space for?
It was at most 5 to 6 months.
Okay.
But because of the nature of lockdown, you know, we didn't know how long it was going to go on. So it could have been a month, could have been 4 weeks, 6 weeks. We didn't know. So it was almost like a week-to-week thing. So we thought, let's give it a go. Came up with a name, a logo.
Love the name, Paws.
And started an Instagram. And then we sort of sat down and did some like value mapping of what we wanted Paws to be. And we wanted it to be like a safe space for people with great cake and great coffee.
And it ticks both of those boxes. I can vouch for that. I love it.
I hope so. That's the thing that's always been consistent from day one, is having that like community space.
Yeah.
Because Rory did like a big piece of work about coffee shops as care institutions in like the modern day.
Okay.
As in the third space where you're not a family member, you're not working. It's somewhere where you go to be cared for and replenished. So a coffee shop is a perfect example. It would have been in like olden times, like a town hall or like a public meeting space.
That's a really good way of looking at it, actually. And I think that's when you change the mindset of the coffee shop, almost to say, it's not just coffee.
No.
This is where we're going to give everyone an experience. We want them to come in and feel that sense of community, which I guess is what you do feel when you come in.
Yeah. Like
it's such a cute, small space as well. And like, you guys have done such an excellent job with it. Like when you walk in, it looks like I've seen it before. So when I've seen the space, I think, wow, what you've managed to do with that space is insane.
Yeah, definitely. I think from when we moved in, I remember I went to see the space after Rory had been in, and I was like, I don't know if we can make it work in here. It's really small. But actually, once we've got an amazing builder, once we'd gone in and put the bar in and put some seating in, it sort of took shape. Yeah, and I love that space.
After the little set pop-up that you guys had first.
Yeah.
What made you take that leap to then actually getting a good place, paying rent, setting up the full business?
It sort of like, Paws sort of took off in a way that we never could have imagined.
Okay.
We never thought it would end up where it did, but we very quickly gained momentum. People were really positive about everything that we were doing. We initially had people from the local area coming in for a coffee. One of the stories that makes me like emotional to this point is a mum.
Get ready.
I've never told this story without crying. I'm going to try really hard today. There was a lady called Paula who lived around the corner from Artefact where we were, and unbeknownst to us, she'd been feeling really lonely because she had a baby in lockdown, and due to social distancing. So at this point, you couldn't meet anybody in another person's home. You could only meet one person outside for a coffee. Yeah. Unless they were in your bubble. So people.
Do you remember those crazy rules?
It's
6 people only in your garden.
Wild. Yeah, and I think we'd gone in. I think that was before the 6 people rule. It was definitely one other person from another household. So people were coming to us for a coffee and then going for a walk. You couldn't sit in, so we had no indoor seating. Okay. It was just the bar. But we made the decision to not do like service at the door, which a lot of places were doing. Yeah. Because we were new, and we wanted to allow people in to have a conversation because a lot of people were feeling really isolated. We were like, we will do the bar service, but it's one person in, one person out. Okay. And then we like...
So you're still adhering to the rules as well?
Yeah. Yeah. But we didn't know that she was feeling really lonely, and she'd come in and see us most days. Mm-hmm. And then as we were gearing up to leave, she said, I couldn't have got through this without you guys. And it is like... That, for me, was the moment where I realised, actually, the thing that we've done has like had huge impact. And I was like, we're doing this and we're going to carry on with it. That is so warming
to know. Yeah. And it's such a hard time as well. When, like you said, there's no family, there's no one around. Mm-hmm. These people would have been living by themselves. And to know that whether they came in for the customer service, whether they came in for the great cakes, the coffee, they came in because you guys, you gave something back to the community at that time.
Yeah, I think her husband worked at the hospital. So because of that, they couldn't see anybody. They couldn't even meet anybody outside. And she couldn't, her parents live in Poland. She's Polish. So she had and she couldn't meet anybody, didn't have an NCT group that she could see. She couldn't see other mums. She didn't have anybody.
And this is when she was a new mom as well?
Yeah. Oh my God. So we were the conversation that she had daily. And I didn't know. I had no idea. So
and this is when you guys were packing up that small pop-up?
She told us and we were like, just a second, someone's cutting onions in here.
Well, it's crazy because some people will never actually tell you that I come into the coffee shop for you, or I come in because you have a warm welcome, or the way that you serve me, and it's that little saying, be kind to anyone because you don't know what they're going through, and you actually don't know. So whether it's a smile, whether it's, hey, it's okay, or that looks amazing, it is literally that small comment to just give people.
Yeah, you don't know what people are going through in private, 100%. Yeah. And I also think that we live in a culture now where we feel the need to project this image that our lives are perfect
social
and
media.
you're happy all the time and you don't struggle, because that's what success is. So I think
struggle is success. Like, without failing, like how do you succeed? How do you grow?
Yeah.
How do you learn? How do you adapt to these skills without failing? Like, I think you need to fail in order to succeed.
Yeah.
You cannot succeed by just ticking all the boxes.
No.
No way.
No, I think you learn more from your mistakes than you do from your wins, 100%. But yeah, so I think we do generally have like a loneliness issue that we don't always talk about. So we've always made a point of being very open about that.
Okay.
And just saying, you know, how are you feeling? How are you doing? How's your day?
And you know, I've seen that.
Okay?
I've seen that in the shop. Like, I always just assume these people are like your friends or you know them. But now saying it, it's true. You guys do that. Like, and you rarely get that. Like, if I went to a Starbucks, for example, they're not going to ask me, hey, how was your day? You know, like, hope you're okay. How's the little one doing? Or how's this going? Like, they're not going to ask those things.
No.
They're going to say, here's your coffee. Scoop.
Next.
Do you know what I mean? And I think that's what I love about independent brands and independent businesses.
Definitely.
You get that sense of warm. You get that sense of, you know, it's a family. It's a friendship. You're going. It's not just the coffee.
No.
Yeah.
Because we can all make coffee at home.
Yeah.
You can have an instant coffee. It's for some people it is about the coffee. They want to have a specialty coffee, but that's very rare.
But you guys serve specialty coffee.
Yes, we do.
Yeah. Just put that in there. They serve special, and you guys change it every week, right?
Yes, we do. Yeah.
Even better. So you're never going to get the same coffee. You have to be there every week to get a different coffee.
Exactly. And the thing is, coffee beans they grow from the earth. So things like season, temperature, the climate, you'll never, even if we order the same bean every week over the course of the year, it would change anyway.
So the taste of it.
Yeah, so we're picking seasonally. So, you know, certain parts of the world have better crop at different times of the year. So normally around autumn time, we're getting a lot of Costa Rican coffee in. At the moment, it's quite a lot of Colombia. Got a bit of Kenyan coming through. Ooh. And then over the course of the year, that changes. So
if you want good coffee, guys, pause is where you need to be, just to drop it in there. Okay, so taking it back to before, like, after, like, once the pop-up is set up, taking it back before that, were you still working full-time at that point?
No, I'd taken the plunge a few weeks before.
Okay, so this is something people don't talk about.
Yeah. Taking
the plunge, you know, leaving your job to actually just focus on your dreams.
Yeah.
What were you doing before you set up the coffee shop?
I was a lawyer.
What? People train their whole lives to go through so much to become a lawyer. Why take the plunge?
To be honest, it was that line of thinking that stopped me from taking the plunge sooner.
And would you have taken it sooner if you know what you know today?
Yes.
So what would your advice be to someone that's in that situation? Because so many people go through it. You know, so many people sitting there thinking, I've got an idea here, but I'm on a good salary. I've worked so hard to get here. What will my family say? What advice would you give to that person? Because I feel like so many people go through it.
I think just go for it, because life is too short to be unhappy, and it's too short to not follow your dreams. And your dreams might not be what you think they are. You know, when you get there, you might, I mean, running a coffee shop is really hard work. It's definitely not this idyllic, I go in and then I make some cakes for a bit and then I go home and it's blissful and a magic fairy comes in and cleans everything for me. And the hospitality industry is on its knees at the moment.
Because you have bad days, don't worry. Like,
100%.
Personally, I think what the hardest thing is when you're going through something, you don't want to project it onto the business or onto the workers, because you think they don't deserve that. I'm having a bad day, not them. But it's right, like this projection of, oh, the cute coffee shop, and you come in, and everything's great. No, that doesn't exist.
It's so hard. It's really,
but it's
really
rewarding.
hard work.
It is rewarding.
Yeah, I think I didn't dislike my job at all. I really loved what I did. I loved the intellectual challenge of my previous career. I loved being a lawyer. I loved drafting leases. I loved doing the commercial deals that I did. I loved my clients, my colleagues. I really enjoyed it, but there was like something not quite right.
Yeah, something missing almost.
Something missing, and I'd always had this like passion for baking, and every time I took cakes into work, people would be like, "You're so good at this. This should be your job."
Yeah.
And it's like, do I stay in my career that's very stable, and I have spent years like studying for it and training for it, and I think I paid off my student loan just before I left.
Insane. Some people are still paying that off, you know.
Yeah, but I was like, is this the moment that I leave? Like, just as I've paid it off.
God, is this my calling?
Yeah, I now have a full paycheck that's mine, and that's the moment I left. It's.
Did anyone have anything to say about that? Like, I know, like, maybe family input or friends, anyone at the time that said, you know what, is this what you want to do? Like, you've worked so hard towards it.
Yeah. My family were really supportive.
That's good.
Because I'd spoken to them about it and was like, I really want to give this a go. And that was fine. So I had their support because they were like, it's just important that you're happy.
Yeah.
And I did reassure them and have
This is my plan.
This is my plan.
Yeah.
I'm not just being frivolous. And I think that I've got the commercial awareness from
what
my
you
previous
need.
job
Yeah.
to do this well. And a lot of my skills that I learned as a lawyer are transferable.
Yeah. Skills are always transferable.
So I did do a business case to my family to be like, it's fine.
Just picturing it on a PowerPoint. So this is what I'm going to do. Hopefully this is the turnover.
Here's my flip chart, Mum.
You know, this is what I'm going to be doing.
Yeah, listen, Mum, listen. I've got an idea for you. No, I mean, I did want to reassure them because no one wants to worry their parents.
Yeah, and I think especially when you've worked so hard into one career.
Yeah, and I didn't get there without their support and sacrifice. So
And I do love your mom. She's so sweet.
she's wonderful.
They always in the
they're
coffee
so
shop.
cute. But yeah, I wanted to have that conversation with them, partly out of respect, but also because I do need their
Blessings
approval and validation. Like,
it's so crazy.
their opinion
right?
matters to me.
Do you think that's a South Asian girl thing?
Probably.
See, I feel like it is.
Yeah, but
Like, you'd always double check with things. I have some friends who are like, no, I just did it. And I'm like,
it's really stressful. What did your mom say? Like, yeah, I think
You're
it
okay
is
with
a,
it?
yeah.
You don't have to do a PowerPoint?
What? No, I think it is a South Asian thing.
But I think it comes from love. Like, it's just reassuring
Yeah.
them that, you know, I know you love me. I'm not doing anything crazy. Because you got to think that they gave up their life to make sure we had a good one. So
Yeah.
you can't just, not almost like throwing it back in their face, but you want to make sure that, hey, I'm not taking you for granted and I accept all the love and the upbringing that I had, but this is what I want to do. Almost.
Yeah. I think like my parents worked so hard to put me through my education, and they were so invested in it because, you know, for South Asians, our families are immigrants.
Yeah.
For them, the stable careers, doctor, lawyer,
Yeah, safest.
teacher,
Safest.
comes from a place of wanting us to be safe.
Yeah.
So when they came to this country with nothing, and they weren't very respected or treated well, they, out of a survival instinct, I think, were like, right, if our children have a good education
And a good job.
and a good job
And a good income.
maybe their lives won't be as hard as ours have been.
Yeah.
And I think that's such a beautiful thing. And yeah, I don't want to throw that in my parents' face. So I did have that conversation, and also the reassurance that I gave them was like, look, if it doesn't work out, I'm still an 8-year qualified lawyer. I can always go back.
Just dipping in and out.
Yeah. Exactly.
Why do you think I studied so long?
Yeah, exactly. So like I'm really glad that I've got the background that I've got in
Yeah.
the education and the career, because definitely being a lawyer gives you a great deal of ease. When
So you know the law.
Yeah.
If you know the law, you don't have to bend it.
no one challenges you. When
Yeah.
you put that job title down, they're like, oh, you want an approval for finance? Have it. You want a mortgage? Have it. Like, you want a bank account?
Leela,
Have 10.
It's yours.
Here's your credit card. Like, approved, done. Like, it's just not, life is really easy. It gives you a lot of privilege.
Okay, guys,
And
become lawyers.
become lawyers. So those things are very hard to give up because
Yeah.
it's security and safety. So like, I don't take it lightly to be like, oh no, I just threw it away. I definitely gave it some serious
choice.
thought for years, for a really long time. But I just always wanted to give it a go.
Yeah.
And I'm really, really glad that I did. But yeah, I wouldn't want to give the misconception that I just like took a massive risk. Like
Yeah.
it was still like quite a calculated
Yeah, yeah.
decision. I weighed like, when
Both
you're a lawyer,
sides.
you're trained to like analyze risk and mitigate it. So I was like, right, these are the risks.
Mm-hmm.
This is how I can mitigate them. I think I'm going to go for it.
There's a lawyer in you.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's when you do it for that long.
skills, I'm such a big person on
Yeah.
skills. Like whatever you, no matter where you are in your life, you're always adapting. You're always taking skills, and that helps you to the next part of your life.
Exactly. I completely agree. So yeah, I did. Yeah, so I did run it past them 100%, and they were really supportive and so proud.
You would say that going down the career you went down helped you in this new career that you're in now, the business that you're in now.
Yeah,
Definitely.
100%. Yeah. So like when we signed our lease, I just read it.
I know what these words mean.
Sign. Next.
Now that you have the business, and obviously know that you're, you guys are booming But we're in a crisis right now.
Yeah.
Like I know everyone's feeling it. I'm hands up going to say, sometimes I feel it, like when you think, oh, do I pick this? Do I pick that? And I guess it's just the economy right now. But then running an independent business in that economy.
Yeah.
Because I know recently you tweeted about, for the foreseeable, is this manageable? Can we keep doing this?
Yeah.
What is your advice for someone that maybe wants to take that jump in the current climate that we're in today?
I think it's just being very aware of how difficult it is.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think margins have ever been tighter, and the knowledge that actually you can do your absolute best and be really successful,
Yeah.
and at the end of the month not have money left.
Yeah.
And that's not normal. It hasn't always been like that.
And I think hospitality right now is really feeling it, because if you're going out for a cake or a coffee or dinner, it's a luxury, right? These things are now luxuries. What we used to be like, oh yeah, I'm just going out for food, going out for a dessert. That now has not become the norm, because you got to think people are using their money more carefully. If you're spending it on bills, mortgage rates are going higher. So why would it be spending that on a coffee or a cake? Which again, I think has put a lot of people off. People that are in this current climate or what they're looking at to do right now, they're probably just thinking, is it worth the leap? Is it worth the jump? But again, what would you say is your most advice for someone?
I think the approach that we've taken as a business and business owners, like we had a very honest conversation, I think in August. So we'd opened at the end of May. By August, I really thought that, it's the summer, things will be busier. And I remember getting to the end of the month and being like, this is how many hours I've worked this month. And I don't have a great deal to show for it. And I'm worried about paying bills on time. And I just didn't anticipate being here. And it's the reality of energy bills going through the roof. Our ingredients have tripled in price, if not more.
The price of ingredients is...
Yeah. And you can't just increase your prices. I can't triple the cost of a coffee, even though our milk has gone up, our coffee is more expensive. And we're trying, we have always made a point of paying above minimum wage because we want people to
enjoy.
We want to give as much as we can. So in order to pay them properly, we can't triple our costs because no one's going to buy a £12 coffee. So, that squeeze then comes from your bottom line. And I said the conversation that we had was, it's not we're closing, it was just that facing up to the reality that we might have to make a difficult decision, and we wouldn't take irresponsible choices or risks where we might end up not being able to pay our suppliers, not being able to pay our rent, not being able to pay ourselves, because a business has to be viable and sustainable. Because I didn't leave my career to do this, to then
cry every night, why am I doing this?
And sacrifice my well-being and mental health and future. So that's a really difficult conversation. It's not one that I wanted to be having 3 months after we'd opened. So I was, sad to be in that position. But I did tweet about it thinking nobody would care. It was just me talking into the void. But Independent Birmingham picked it up and then everybody started talking about it. And some people were texting me, be like, is Paws closing? And I was like,
that's not panic attack.
Literally didn't say that.
But I think it's, like you said,
the
it's
conversation
good to be aware.
is important.
Yes. You can't be blind-eyed to something like that, especially when you know that, okay, the bill's getting a bit tighter, or, am I paying things on time? And I think what I took from that is, you never actually know who's watching or who's listening or who's reading. Do you know what I mean? You don't know. So if Independent Birmingham picked that up, imagine how many people then would have seen it from them. And then so on. So in that sense, even though you just said I was just talking to myself on the metaverse, someone picked that up and that had gone around, and the thought of people were upset, thinking that, oh my God, is this what's happening?
I had a lot of messages from other business owners who were like, thank you for saying the thing that I've been too scared to say out loud. And thank you for saying the thing that I've been really embarrassed about and thinking that I was the only one in this boat. So this is the thing, we don't talk about our
exactly. And I think that's probably
our worries. We're like, everything's great.
Everything's fine. On the surface.
Look at my shiny social media. My life is amazing. Is your life amazing?
And you're crying in the background, pulling your hair out.
And I've tried never to do that. I've tried to be
as real as possible.
Very authentic, a little bit chaotic, but honest, because I don't get anything out of
hiding it
and saying that everything's amazing.
Exactly. That's where this actually came from. This podcast came from, because I just said, it's not all fun and games. It's really not. And I think if someone else is struggling, or if someone else is going through it, the least that they could take from this is the advice.
Yeah.
or, you know, some knowledge, or, you know, this is my first hand experience. This is my advice for you for if you want to do it, because I've already gone through it, I've learned from it, but you could do it better next time. And it's like what you said, people are so scared to admit the reality sometimes.
Yeah, and I think what happened in the few weeks after, like, not my tweet, there were other people also talking about it, and suddenly it became the echo chamber again, where everybody was like, are we going to address the fact that there's no cap for energy for businesses? Are we going to talk about this? Because why isn't there one? And when I think pubs started to get ridiculous bills.
Yeah.
And if there's one thing that the British culture will pay attention to, it's a struggling pub. You will not close my pub. So off the back of that, I think businesses started lobbying the government, and they did put an energy cap in briefly, and like an energy relief scheme for businesses, which I think is currently due to end in April. But I know that has kept some businesses going, because I had friends that have got businesses in the jewellery quarter saying our energy bills have gone from $1,500 a month to like 5,000. And where do you find that extra money from? It's not a small amount of money per month.
I would have been like, yep, closing the doors today then.
I'm going to go cry. I've got nothing.
Take my clothes.
No, don't. I need them. So, you know, like if you don't talk about it, you can't fix it, and like shouldn't suffer in silence.
Yeah, no, and I feel like there's always someone going through what you're going through as well, and like you said, suffering in silence is probably the worst, especially for you mentally. Now, I know that you're looking at the future of the business, so Pause, the amazing coffee shop that it is, what is the future? So I know that you've almost given up your life for this, you know, you've put everything you want into this business.
Yeah.
Where do you see it? Where is the future of Pause?
It's really funny, because I was actually having a think about this earlier today, and I've been like pondering over the last couple of weeks. I was away last week in Amsterdam, and I was away at Christmas in Cornwall, and every time I go away, that's like my reflection time.
Yeah.
And
you need it. You need to sit and just take yourself out and just think, what do I need to be doing right now?
Yeah, what do I need?
Yeah.
And I am asking myself the what do I need question, as opposed to what should I do next?
Yeah.
Because like Pause did take off far bigger and quicker than I ever imagined. And we started a coffee shop that did coffee and cake and cared about people. And then other people came in, and some were like, you've created an amazing brand. And I think I didn't lose myself in that, but I think I definitely...
But it can happen sometimes.
I got nervous and was like, what's the expectation that people have now? Should this be a brand? We never set out to create a brand
name.
Never meant that to happen ever. But we did find people taking photos of their cups with the logos, and
such a clean logo. I know Shaz says it all the time. Like it is when you think about the name. Like when I have a coffee, it's a break. It's a pause.
Yeah.
And it's just, you should have brought a cup with you today. It's like two little. It is the Pause logo. Yeah. Insane.
We just
smart.
We bought a stamp because we didn't know if we were going to be open longer than a month. We just bought like, I think 200 cups from Nisbets that were grey.
Yeah.
And there was no point paying somebody to do a logo.
Yeah.
We didn't know if we were going to be open.
Certainly. You draw on all the...
We ordered a stamp. So I ordered a stamp with an equal sign, flipped it 45 degrees.
That's so genius.
Yeah. I was like, what can we do that's simple? And Rory said no logo. And I was like, I think we need a logo.
Yeah.
I think we have to do something.
It's a brand name. It is a brand name.
Yeah, we have to do something. And so we went for that, and then we used to stamp the cinnabuffin pots, and people would put the two on top of one another and then like take photos. So I thought the expectation was that I should have loads of pauses.
Yeah.
There should be cafes everywhere, and I have a group
Chains
of them.
everywhere.
Exactly. But in doing that, I would lose what I set up.
Yeah.
So I think over Christmas, I was like, what do I want? And actually, this year, for me, the focus is to enjoy operating that coffee shop and bakery.
Yeah.
Because there's been so many times where I've not been there and other people have been working, and I've been at a laptop or in, at home and just getting work done. And I don't think I've let myself like enjoy the moment.
Working there, yeah.
And I've always been like living in the future and being like, what's next? Okay, I need to look at this, and what's next? And once I got them, like, okay, what's the next stage? And in that, I've sort of like carried the corporate.
And I think that's one thing, again, we don't discuss about that. Even if you're not at the business, you're always working.
Yeah, you're always working.
Your mind is 24/7 working numbers, people, this, ideas. How do I execute this? Like it's always, it does actually pause. No pun intended.
Never does. But I think I've not let myself like just sit in it.
Yeah.
And this year I want to just
absorb it.
be.
This is your baby. This is what you created. This is your dream.
I want to be with our customers more. I want to be talking to people more, and just be making coffee and doing the cakes and all of that without thinking about the business per se. I just want to think about the thing that we set up.
Yeah.
And just live in it, because I don't want to have a job where I sit in an office, and that's why I left. But I would almost like started to veer back towards...
Go back to what you know.
Yeah, and I'm just giving myself permission to show up at the shop and make coffees and talk to people.
Yeah.
Because that's the thing that I absolutely love doing. Oh. I love baking.
I'm pretty sure your customers love that too when you're there, so serving them.
Yeah, so I'm going to be present more this year, and we'll see where it takes us.
Oh, well, thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you guys for being here and listening. You guys can like, comment, subscribe. If you want as well, you can go follow Pause Bakery and Coffee Shop. I'll pop their handles somewhere. But thank you guys so much for listening, and thank you, Farah, for being on with us today. It's okay. Bye, guys. Bye.